And we are live. I'm not gonna keep him up here the whole time, but you know, we gotta welcome in the galactic pirate ship guests. I hope you have brought your party hats and your cute outfits and your snacks and your drinks. Ready to lay down some of the heaviness and celebrate some fucking wins. We've got first mate up here. I am also hearing a weird noise that might be some critters somewhere. I am in my studio, and my studio. We're gonna get into the story of the studio, but it's very trash goddessy, and it's just my fucking favorite. So I can't wait to tell that story. All right, first mate, you can hang out there for a second. We also have our little dragon. I have so many, it's amazing. I have like the best fucking, I don't want to call them props, but they kind of are props. But just to introduce my little, this is a model of Deep Space Nine. And my lovely crow friend Ellen made this for me. Fucking what? It's a little shaky, but it's amazing. Okay, anyway, this is like, I have the best energy right now. I know, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little intro, like what the fuck is going on. Actually, this is kind of the intro. We're doing a little bonus content because like, we're just jabbing away. Show and tell. Oh, I have one later that is gonna, girl. So, okay, so we're kind of in the intro phase to just kind of like say hello, welcome people in. We're gonna do a self-interview where I have the questions and the answers. And then we're just gonna kind of see where it goes, because there's also part of it's a three-parter, at least as far as like my little Virgo stellium can kind of outline. We did a little plan, but then the Pisces part of me is like, we'll just go with the flow. So who knows what's gonna come out. But I'm actually wearing the dress that I'm wearing. I bought 5 years ago, never wore it. I don't know why I just, whatever. I think I heard that Lizzo wore this dress and I was like, well, I gotta get it. And so, is very short. So I'm glad the camera doesn't, but I feel very cute. I feel very piratey because it's got little corset thingies on the side. And obviously I'm very special with my crown. And this, I know you can't see it, but this is a dragon. And I found this necklace at NORWAC, which is a conference for astrology out in the Seattle area. Pirate Queen, yes. And there was this woman vendor there selling in the, people go there to sell stuff. And she just had these amazing jewelry pieces. And I saw this dragon and I was like, that is mine. Here's my credit card. I hope it's not a whole lot of money. So I forget, it was an energy exchange. It was definitely a chunk. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's still very not still. It is like that much more meaningful because I was like, I'm committed without even knowing what it was. So yes, lots of dragon energy. All right. So we're going to get started on this little Q&A. First, who the hell am I? I am KK. And there's a lot of, how do I describe myself? I kind of, you know what? I'm going to do the human design and astrology. So we'll do astrology first. Aquarius sun, Pisces moon and rising. All right. My Jupiter, because I'm Jupiter ruled for a Pisces rising. My Jupiter is in the 7th house of relationships in Virgo. So like, welcome in. Jupiter loves to make you feel comfortable and like everything is just a nice little party and you have everything you need. And so also good at celebrating wins. So we're going to be doing that all night. I am also a 5/1 manifesting generator with an emotional authority in human design. And if you don't know what that is, that's all right. We're going to talk about it. But I wanted to mention it because the 5 part of the profile number is the heretic. And the heretic knows that you can take a concept and work through all the nuance because everything has nuance, nothing is black and white, and we still make the universalizations about the concepts. So you're going to hear me talk about things in a not a it's sort of like a blanket statement way, but I understand that there is nuance. So I do try to couch it in language that's not a caveat heavy, like I know this and that and blah blah blah, and then I get to my point, I'm just like, I'm going to say the thing and just kind of trust as much as you can that I have done the examining and the nuances. But if you do have things to say, obviously I'm open to hearing them. But just so you know, the 5 profile line is very triggering for people, and it's like you can pedestalize them because they're so amazing and they say all these great things and the truths and the whatever, everything resonates and you're like, yeah, you're amazing. You can also villainize a 5 line pretty easily. So, and it's interesting because I was hearing one of my friends is also a 5-1, and we were talking, and it was like, as a 5 line, you kind of just wait for the light to go out in someone's eyes once they really get to know you. And it's like, oh God, I let you down. And it wasn't anything on purpose, and it's no one's fault. This is just the mechanics, the energy mechanics of a 5 line. So I wanted to get that out of the way. The 1 line is the rabbit hole. It's the investigator. It goes down into stuff. You're going to hear a lot of rabbit hole talk, because that's what I'm just going to know all the details about it. It also is very concerned with safety and security, and it's very fear-based. And so there's constant, like, where's my safety? Where's my survival? And so there's a lot of anxiety. But the point of the 1 line is to kind of ensure that everyone else feels safe. And so there's always a mixed bag for like the gifts and the shadows. So you don't want to spend too much time in fear, but like also because I explore fear so much, I'm able to kind of alchemize it and neutralize it for other people so that they can see that maybe some of the monsters they're facing aren't actually that scary. Oh, Jacob is a 5-1 too. Hey! Oh my God! Dude, I didn't really, so I have one friend I know that is this 5-1, and I didn't realize how nice it is to have that profile, that mirror profile to talk to, because even if you share like a 5 with someone or a 1 with someone, or, like half profile, it's still fine and fun, and you can like get a lot of energy changes from like knowing their experience and the overlap between their numbers that they share with you. But there's something about having the same exact profile numbers that's just like, oh, you get me. You really get me. Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're definitely going to, if you have questions about human design, we're definitely going to go into all this stuff, because I talk a lot. I speak both languages, astrology, human design. There's, mostly tropical astrology, just so everybody knows. I have been getting some guidance to kind of go into Vedic astrology, but I haven't really found the resources that my 1 line wants to kind of rabbit hole into. So if you have any suggestions, open to hearing it. But for now, it's going to be tropical, Hellenistic astrology, and human design. So we'll get into what those are. That's who I am. I also have 3 cats. We got the Midnight Diner Gargoyle Guardian energy. They're the best. I also have a dragon, not pictured because he's in a different dimension, but his name is Arman, and he is my underworld dragon. He's just like this gigantic, black, sparkly, I'm making him sound ridiculous, and he kind of does like to have a lot of fun, but he's like an underworld guardian, and he's just kind of like my companion to kind of go in between the worlds and, whatever. And for anybody who doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, we'll get into it. So, okay, look at this. I even have notes. My Virgo is just like very proud of me right now. Bonus question. Why April 1st at 7:11 p.m.? So, mostly numbers, honestly. Like, we've all been in this long enough to know that like numbers are huge synchronicities and whatever. So I've been 7s, 1s, and 4s have been following me around for like a while. And so also being the Midnight Diner, as you get to know me, you're going to know that like deeply unserious household here. And I love to celebrate a national treasure like a 7-Eleven gas station because honestly, it's very Midnight Diner-esque, Same vibes. So we love the kind of grungy. Anyway, so 7-Eleven, multiple Multiple reasons there. And 4/1. Okay, so April 1st. First of all, this feels like a happy new year right now. Like it literally feels like a new year. After the first 3 months of this year, I was like, I cannot. But it finally feels like fresh energy. And oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about with that. I don't know if all of this is going to come out tonight. Like, clearly I have all these things I want to say, but like, also I need to remember that I can stream more than once. So we're just going to see what happens. And if I leave off anything, if I've started a thought, because I also have ADHD, if I leave off a thought and you're like, wait, go back, just pop it in the chat and we'll do it there. Otherwise, it'll just come out in all the other things. So I've always had this, I don't like April Fool's Day. It is just traumatic. It is annoying. I just can't stand it. I will say though, that when there is a good prank or good like trickster, like there are some really good examples of that. It's clever and like really there's nuance to all this stuff. But for me, not a fan. So this is part of the alchemy that I'm doing for turning the shadow side into the positive side and all this trickster energy that has been kind of fucking with us all this time. It's like, why don't you embrace me and become the trickster goddess and like acknowledge that you also enjoy having fun. Trickster energy doesn't have to be like awful. I mean, I think of it as kind of cruel and yikesy, because I'll be like taking something seriously and crying and it's like, don't take it seriously, go fuck yourself. But also trickster energy just wants to have some fun, and that's what we're doing today. It loves a good celebration. It loves good like party music, just like, yeah, it ain't so serious, you know? I mean, you're allowed to take things seriously because that's the human experience, and we all love to take things seriously because let's get in. Let's get into the meat of all the feelings and emotions and human experiences. So I am alchemizing my fear, whatever, trauma around the trickster energy. And so we're just going to have some fun and celebrate it. So that is why 4/1 at 7:11 p.m. Some of these are classics. So we like a good classic. What's your favorite swear word? Because James Lipton ate with that question. Let's all just say it's such a great interview question. Okay, so I always got to say the word fuck. Every other word. It's also very, versatile. You can put it anywhere with any ending or any combination of words, and it's just so good. Just so fucking good. Also, I like to say Jesus Christ, which I know is not technically a swear word, but like it's kind of a swear word. I like writing. There's a swear I like writing, but it's too long to say, and I never get Jesus skateboarding pterodactyl Christ. Girl, that's a good one. I saw it in a meme. I think it was a Tumblr post, and I was like, I want to steal that. Also, I read a book. I was reading a book, and one of their swear words, it was a fantasy, blah, blah, one of their, it was like, tits and harpies. Kind of want to steal that, but I haven't actually. Usually the thing that comes out is fuck. Okay, wow, we have talked a lot about swear words. All right, if you were a fictional character, who would you be? Now this, actually, my friend Zaddy Cat we have a podcast together called Space Cats Happy Hour, and our first episode was interviewing each other, and that was one of their questions to me, and I was like, oh, that's such a good question. And so I said, the first thing that popped in my head was Pippi Longstocking, and I was like, oh, that is weird. I didn't think I was going to answer that way. And it's perfect. Fucking, she lived in a pirate ship house. Like, totally. It just felt like so right. So I think I'm sticking with Pippi Longstocking because, like, honestly, goals. I kind of want to add on, like, Phantom of the Opera, though. I've been getting a lot of Phantom of the Opera syncs lately, and I don't really know why. And I also I read the book when I was in 4th grade, and I am not exaggerating. I literally when I was a kid, I would just read all these books, and if I didn't understand a word, I would just keep reading, and the context would make sense later. Or if I didn't understand it, I'd be like, fuck it, whatever. I still understand the story. So I read this fucking huge ass book, and it was one of those, in American school systems, sometimes they do like reading point, like however many pages you read, you accumulate points and get a free pizza or whatever. I got free pizza every time. So yeah, Phantom of the Opera. Okay. Any odd jobs that stand out for you? I've had a lot of jobs, and I love hearing about people's like one-offs or weirdness, or like maybe something odd happened at a job, and like I don't know, I just love, you got to have the standout moments. And so I've had quite a few, whatever, but because I've had so much dog energy kind of in my awareness, like helping me with downloads and codes and stuff, I decided to tell the story of me working for 1 month at doggy daycare in New York City. It was this fancy Upper West Side, grooming, pet supplies, whatever. It was run by a woman who was like cartoon villain. We would all take pictures of our time sheets because she was known to change the times that we logged in and short changes on fucking. Oh, and I got so mad at her for like taking advantage of people. We sold these like human grade food, like dog treats in the shape of biscuits or whatever the fuck, or bones and shit. I ate them all. um which was ridiculous. That's not gonna. I just ate them all, and honestly they were really good. I ate dog biscuits. It was like kind of like slightly, because the icing was yogurt, and I was like, this is just like good. So honestly, if you got good dog treats, watch yourself. If I come over, I might eat them. Anyway, it was just a really funny, there was a groomer that worked there who was dating the receptionist that I worked with, and they were tumultuous. They would come in and fight. Anyway, it was just a really funny little odd job. And I did not last more than a month. So anyway, there's my little dog story. Eating dog biscuits. Oh, next question. What's your most embarrassing memory? Okay, this one was literally just, did not need to think about it. Here we go. So I was working at a publishing house in New York from like age 27 to 29. So this is like back in whatever. So all these people were super cool. Like I worked I was working in the sub rights department, which whatever. Well, basically I was friends with like kind of everyone from, or at least a couple people from every department, because my job was to interface with all of the people and get the art for the art files for the publishers and chapters. And anyway, I just knew all the people, and everyone was so freaking cool. And like we would hang out in the conference room at lunchtime and just kind of chat, whatever. I don't know what we were talking about. But somebody asked a question, and I very loudly was like, in the annals of history. And the whole room got quiet. And I was like, did I say something? I had never heard the word said out loud. I'd only read it. It's pronounced annals, in case anyone else is making that mistake. Pretty embarrassing. So there you go. I said annals when I meant to say annals. Okay. Do you speak any other languages? I do. I speak French. Okay, I should say that it's quite rusty, but I did live there for about 1.5 years, separate times. I was over there for 6 months as a student. Shay, I knew you would love that one. I was over there for 6 months as a student. And then actually, after I worked at the publishing house, I moved to Paris. I don't know, I'm having throat chakra stuff. Excuse me. I moved to Paris to teach English. I was not a good teacher, at least not in the traditional classroom. But yeah, by the end of my living there after Paris, I was really fucking good. And I kept thinking I was really bad because I just kept like stumbling or, striving to find words and stuff like that. But then I realized like once we were at the end of the school term was over, it was just like, oh my God, I could just, it was really good. So anyway, I think I have a grid point in France. I'm supposed to live there, probably in the south of France. So the French language I'm not done with the French language because I really love speaking it and it's so fun. I was pretty close to like, not necessarily conversationalist in Italian, but like when I would go there to visit when I lived, because it's so, when you live in the south of France, it's just like, you got to go to Italy. It's right there. It's like a 2-hour train ride. which is why the south of France is better than the sorry, not sorry. The south of France has better coffee, better food. And I think it's because it's close to Spain and Italy. So it's just not really French food. It's like peasant food. It's really good. That's what they would refer to it as. I'm not trying to insult them, but it was like a lot of potatoes and root vegetables and stews and like it's just beautiful flavors. And oh, I fucking miss that place so much. Lots of Roman ruins around. I saw a Radiohead concert in the Roman ruins around like about an hour outside of town. Pretty fucking rad energy, I gotta say. So yeah, I'm not done with that place, but we're gonna see how it plays out. Because for now, I live in Ohio. So yeah, those are and also my dream. Oh my God, speaking of like speaking languages, maybe it's my Sagittarius 10th house, but I am just like, I want to go everywhere and learn all the languages. And my dream was to like, or maybe it still is, I don't know how it works out. I just want to like live in a place for like 2 years and like immerse myself in like learning the language and doing the culture stuff and like being there. And that's how I love learning languages. So if that ever happens one day, as I travel the world speaking my heretical truth, I'll let you know. Oh, I was like, understood Latin. When I saw the movie, Jesus Christ, what Mel Gibson, what Passion of the Christ, and part of it was in Latin, I kind of understood it. I took Latin in high school, and I mean, just a lot of memorization. So I couldn't speak I couldn't hear it I needed the subtitles, but I just, I did understand some Latin. Super nerdy. Don't you love it? Oh, yes. Any memorable celebrity encounters, which I find hilarious because this question just popped in and I was like, we're going to answer that. But it's also really funny because we're in the middle of watching the collapse of celebrity culture. So like, who cares if you meet a celebrity? I think we're moving towards that, but also we're still in it. So I'm just going to talk about celebrities because there's been some fun ones. David Schwimmer. So when I was in the south of France, I lived in the south when I was a student. A bunch of students, we all went to Venice. I was like, where did we go? We went to Venice for a weekend. And I was with my friends, one of the students. He loved shoes. I think he brought like 72 shoes. He didn't, but like he brought so many shoes, but he loved going to, so we went to, and he was rich as fuck. So he would go into all these really cool stores and I would just be like, what? Okay. And so we went to, I think it was Prada, and he started trying on shoes and I was just kind of sitting there looking around and I saw this guy and he looked so familiar and I was like, did I go to high school with that guy? And I kept staring at him. And he kept looking at me like, oh my God, like clearly thinking that he thought I knew who he was. But when he walked out and he went pretty quickly, and I don't know if it was because I was staring at him, but like, and I wasn't staring at him. I would keep looking at him like when he wasn't looking, but you can tell, when someone's staring at you, you're like, oh my God, especially if you're a celebrity and you're kind of like used to people staring at you. So he left pretty quickly. And then my friend who was shopping for shoes, he was like, that was David Schwimmer. And I was like, oh, that's who that was. My bad. So David Schwimmer, if you're watching this, I wasn't staring at you because you were famous. I feel really bad about that, but also I don't because whatever. Kurt Vonnegut. One of the reasons I'm super proud to be a Hoosier. Yeah, I grew up in Indiana, even though I live in Ohio. Whatever, there's a little, relatable. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Laser Queen. Is that Ellen? Oh, Ellen. I'm assuming it's Ellen. Look what I brought. Welcome to my DS9. Anyway, okay. Even if it wasn't Ellen, I'm going to show you. Oh, it is. Yay. Okay, cool. So, Kurt Vonnegut, definitely one of those people that you just, thank God I got to be in his presence and share the earth while he was alive. I think I was like 9 or 10, so I don't really remember like all of it, but he came to give a speech at the local college in Richmond. It's called Earlham College. Anyway, my mom, of course, was just like, we're going. And it was such a small town that we weren't like overrun, that he wasn't like over, but like we definitely stood in line and he signed our books and all that stuff. And he signed it with an asterisk and he was like, this is an asshole. He's like, everybody has one, everybody is one. I never forgot that. And I don't remember exactly what he said. I mostly remember like being in his presence and just kind of like, just his eyes and his whole energy. And it was just like rich and quiet. And there was wisdom there. And there was also a deep grief and sadness, but like the humor was like, he never lost his humor. I don't know. It was just it made an impression, I guess. And I really recommend hanging out with Kurt Vonnegut. And because he's in the spirit world now, you can like actually talk to him if you want to. The veil is thin. I'm just saying. Oh, Michael Utley. Okay, so I'm probably the only person who knows who the fuck Michael Utley is. But he's the pianist for Jimmy Buffett. And first of all, let me just say, for anyone who's like, Jimmy Buffett, if you only know Margaritaville, you don't know Jimmy Buffett. I mean, yes, that is. But also, just take a listen to Tin Cup Chalice. Just try it out. So, very good songwriter. I know he's a little cheesy, but because I grew up with a mother who was a humongous fan, we would drive from Indiana to Key West and go to Captain Tony's and see. Okay. And then whenever he would come to, the area, we would always go to them. In fact, Cincinnati, this might be apocryphal, I don't know, but like I heard that Cincinnati was the place where people started dressing up in the parrot head costumes and coined the word parrot head because those are Jimmy Buffett fans. And I've been I've been to Cincinnati a few times to see Jimmy Buffett. So Michael Utley, back to Michael Utley. Michael Utley is the pianist. And so when I was living in Nashville, I went to school down there. And when I was living in Nashville, there was this bar. I cannot remember the name of the bar, but there was a piano in the bar. And my sister and I went there one night and we saw this guy, I don't know, just a young guy playing the piano, whatever. And at the bar, nobody was there. It was like a Tuesday night or some shit like that. And over at the bar was this guy, and he was clearly like just like watching him, like super proud. Anyway, we figured out that it was his son that was playing the piano. But when I recognized Michael Utley, I was like, oh, he's the sweetest. Oh my God. You can tell when people have good energy, even if you've never met them. So I go up to him and I just am like, Mr. Utley, I love you. Yeah, I've been to so many concerts. And I just gave him a hug. And he was like, oh my God. The cheeks were so red. He clearly was not used to being recognized at all. And I just was like, you're the best. And we took a picture and his son, I can't remember what his son's name was. But anyway, he was super chill and cool too. He was like 12 years old. He wasn't, but like anyone younger than me is just like 12 years old. So anyway, we just all took my sister, and my sister was like, what are you doing? Because normally my sister is the one who just like doesn't have any problem like talking to people and like doing crazy things. And the crazy thing that I was doing, going to fucking Michael Utley and being like, you don't know me, but I'm gonna hug you. Which I realize is kind of, you don't really just go up to people and hug them, but like I couldn't help it. And it was fine. But like, okay, now we know who I am. Watch out. Just kidding. I think that's the end of that story. But yeah, Michael Utley. It was a great moment and I fucking loved it. Oh, this was an interesting one. My viola teacher in my viola teacher in college, again, in Nashville, she was part of the like local orchestra or group of musicians that would do studio recordings for like famous musicians or, whatever. When they don't bring in their own musicians, they need like studio musicians. So she was one of those people and she can be heard on CNN because she did the Morse code thing that they have. She played that. I mean, it was a group of people, and I was like, wait, that's actual musicians playing that? And she was like, yeah, it took us forever. It was really annoying, but we finally got a good recording. So, that counts. Also, I did not get along with her. We shared the first name, Catherine, even spelled the same way. Thought we were going to get along and stuff. No, we did not. But that's a story for another day. John Mayer. Okay, listen. I know. But also, I interviewed him for my school paper. I wrote a few articles at my college, university, or whatever the fuck, my school newspaper in college. And one of the editors was my friend, and she was like, well, she was a huge John Mayer fan, and I didn't really know who he was, but like she took me to his concert, and she bought me tickets to go to his concert, but we hadn't been yet, and so I was interviewing him before the concert so that people who read the newspaper could be like, oh, cool, John Mayer, and then just whatever. So knowing me, all the questions I ask, of course I don't ask like normal questions, but I did ask him his most embarrassing memory question, and he said that it was one time when he walked out on stage to perform, he took a drink of tea and swallowed the string from his tea bag and had a coughing fit. So I'm sure he was, it doesn't sound like that. I mean, I'm sure it was embarrassing, but also he was very gracious and was like, probably came up with something quickly on the fly. I bet he has more. He's not going to tell me, some fucking internet stranger, about when he said anals instead of annals. That was John Mayer's most embarrassing. And he was very nice, honestly. I gotta say. So I don't know what he's doing now, and if he's problematic, I don't care, but okay. Last one is an honorable mention, and it goes to my sister, because again, me going up to hug Michael Utley, and I'm like, normally she's the one that does crazy shit. We went to see Yo-Yo Ma when we were younger, who's a famous cellist. Amazing dude. God, if you ever get a chance to see Yo-Yo Ma in concert, go. Just go. Don't even pass go, collect $200, just go. He's amazing. Anyway, we went to this performance, and my sister knew that I fucking love this guy. He's just like, love him. I love him so much. And so she knew that, and she was like, I want to get his autograph for you. And she ran after him, and he was just trying to get away. He like ran with his cello, trying to get away from this she was young. I mean, she was like a kid, like not even a teenager. So she's not really threatening, but she just wants to get that autograph for her sister. And I think she even like yelled at it. She's like, I just want your autograph for my sister. I don't know, but it was hilarious to watch her chasing a grown man with his cello. Poor guy. Oh my God. Yo-Yo Ma, if you were listening to this, sorry, not sorry, but also that was a great story. So thank you. Okay, there's a little random bit of trivia. I was like, oh, we'll just do a bonus. And this is number 7. So again, 7 following me around. I have to disclose like it's great, but I do talk about Mass Effect, the video game, a lot. That's kind of a lot. Okay. So when I mention things and I'm like, remember in Mass Effect when blah, blah, blah. And if you don't know what that is, it's a trilogy of, well, there's technically 4 games, but we don't always acknowledge the 4th one because it wasn't very good. But the three original ones, girl, I play them over and over and over. They're the reason I started playing video games. I read about them in Wired magazine when I was, I don't know, just turned 30 or something. I was like, that game sounds fucking amazing. And I had never really played video games because I wasn't allowed to have like Nintendo or any of that stuff growing up and whatever. So I think I might have like learned first on my Wii, and I was playing Resident Evil 4, but like the first actual like I am playing this for 65 hours or however much of the time, it's a long game. Anyway, it's one of my favorites. So yeah, that is a little trivia for you. So if you hear me talk about Mass Effect, so here we come to the little fork in the road here. We've got the normal shit, and now we're gonna turn into the weird ass energy shit. Get ready for aliens. So in 2020, July of 2020, I had an awakening and listened to a podcast that the woman is a comedian, and she was talking about her spirit guides, and she called them aliens, and I thought that was hilarious because I was like, oh yeah, that's like, I believed in spirits and stuff. Like growing up, I knew there was magic. Like I think everyone as kids knows there's magic, and then it gets beaten out of us, and whatever. But I could feel that there was something more. That this is the reality. It was just like not. There's just something more, and I couldn't obviously figure. And then whenever you would hear about aliens or like fucking conspiracy theories, you would just be like, oh my God, how do people believe, so I didn't know if they were real or if anyone else believed it. And I kind of just like, not forgot about it, but like, again, it gets beaten out of you. So you're just like, whatever. And I'd always, like, since I was 13 years old, I picked up my first dragon book. It was Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern series. Recently tried to reread that, and I was like, ooh, okay. But it's okay. It was a good story, but like it's very of its time. And so I'm like, ooh, boy. So I don't know if I would read them right now, but like, that was my like, oh my God, dragons. And I could just not. And since I picked up the book about dragons, I just have pretty much, not exclusively, but basically sci-fi and fantasy have been my like reading genres, movies, TV shows, whatever. So when I heard this podcast where the woman was calling her, and it's called Soberish, and her name is Jessa Reed, in case any, I feel like I should credit these people. So anyway, and also that was the reason I listened to the podcast, because it was called Soberish, and I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, oh, that's a great name for a podcast. And I looked at the first season's titles, and I was like, I don't know if I really want to read about, because she was talking about getting clean from addiction and whatever. But the second season, the titles of the episodes it talked about like aliens and angels and stuff, and I was like, I think I might check this out. And so once that happened, I was like, it was like she had just given me permission to be myself again, and like remember that like I love magic and believe that it's real, and dragons are real, and just everything, like, there's just more. and so I thought, I just kind of went into a rabbit hole, like I was talking about at the beginning. It's like dive down. I could not get enough of podcasts, of like videos, and whenever you're kind of inhaling energy, well, it is an energy exchange, but whenever you're inhaling information, it's kind of like, sometimes you come across things that feel like they resonate at first, and then you find out it's like, oh, that person was a psyop or whatever. So when you're going through these things, it's okay to get tricked. Again, trickster energy, we're going to kind of like bring back the trickster energy stuff every so often, just to I'm a trickster energy apologist, apparently. Even though I throw tantrums about trickster energy plenty of times, I'm still just like, I get it. I understand that it will do anything in the name of evolution. And so if it tricks you to get to your highest timeline, is it bad or good? Like, what? There's so much nuance. Anyway, I forget what I was talking about. See, fucking ADD. If anyone remembers what I was talking about. Anyway, I'll just kind of move on. So yes, this podcast. Oh yeah, rabbit holes. Okay, so I was going down rabbit holes. Oh yeah, if you change your mind. Sorry, guys, this is how you. This is a conversation with me. Don't worry, it will not get better. It will only get crazier. So, yeah, I just lost my train of thought again. I know. The autism ADHD combination is a pretty funny story. Yes, if you were wrong, okay, that's what I remember now. If you are wrong or you get tricked and you have to like publicly announce that you change your mind or you were wrong about something or blah, 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 it's okay. Your truth evolves, everything evolves. And that has been a big journey for me, is to like, I've been so conditioned to think that consistency is so important. And if you change your mind, it's bad, or like whatever cancel culture kind of stuff, where it's just like, oh, if people say one wrong thing and, it's like, there is nuance to all this. And I'm not saying problematic people shouldn't necessarily be canceled, whatever. I'm just saying that like, you can change and it is possible. And so my own discomfort with being seen as inconsistent was getting in the way of me actually evolving my own like philosophies and cosmologies and all the things. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm just gonna, like if I'm wrong and I report something that I read, and all of this, the trickster energy that's really heavy this year is to get you to get your spiritual discernment stronger, like your muscles stronger. And also I said spiritual discernment, separate. Spiritual muscles and discernment muscles. All of those things need to be like super highlighted right now, especially discernment, because shit is crazy right now. Like, and it has been, but you don't really know who to trust. And so you got to learn to trust your body telling you, because your body cannot lie to you. Brain does. And so you need to I'm just saying, for me, it was very helpful when I finally was able to get in touch with my own body's wisdom, because my body can feel the truth. And so if someone's saying something, I'm like, does that actually feel true or not? And sometimes I have to sit with it, because part of the emotional wave in human design that I have is like, I go through a wave of like highs and lows, and like figuring out what actually resonates and what needs to stay, and whatever, truth wise. And it's a lot. But anyway, um, trusting your own body to tell you the truth, and when someone else is telling the truth, that's how you're going to get through this next phase of this human evolution. And so I guess we'll kind of stop with that thought, because it kind of ties back into all these other things that I'm talking about. But basically, I'm going back to the 2020, July of 2020, when I was like, oh my God. And so I kind of just, but when you go through this at first, you're kind of just like, you don't know how to talk about it with other people necessarily, who aren't like just already talking about it themselves. And you're like, okay, they're talking about it, so I know that it's safe, like they're not gonna think I'm crazy, kind of stuff, and whatever. So you're weirdly isolated, but you also kind of, there's like lighthouses everywhere, and you're just like, okay, I'm not alone, like these people are saying that, like. So it was a very confusing time, but also really cool time, because I was, getting energy readings from people, and like meeting people who channeled angels, and universal consciousness. Like it was really, really cool. And you can kind of go too far in that sometimes, where you're just like, I'm gonna go every week to a different healer and blah blah blah. I don't recommend that. I did that for a while. I was like, my body was like, this is too much. And so yeah. So yeah, I went through all this stuff. I would take like different classes. I knew that I could, when someone mentioned the word Akashic records, I was like, I know that word. Like I'd never heard it before, but I was like, I was like, what is that? I have to know more. And so I ended up following this one person who channeled the Akashic records, and she taught a little beginner's class and recommended this book. And so I read the book first, which is literally called How to Channel the Akashic Records, I think, by Linda Howe. And it was incredible. All of the stuff that I am talking about, I have like just done myself. When I'm talking about the Akashic records, it sounds crazy, but like they have proven themselves to me, and that's all that matters. No one else can tell me I'm wrong, or like this or that or blah. The Akashic records, my guides, my higher self, I know that that's who they are, and that they're real, and whatever. So these Akashic records, I knew I needed to be in them. And so one time, I think it was in December of 2020, I was doing the thing where I like got the light and the energy like flowing, and it was this phase of the class that I was in, teaching about the Akashic records. The class was like, okay, once you spend a certain amount of time just sitting in the energy, and then like a few days later, whatever, you actually try to like get messages from the energy. And so I asked it a question. I asked out loud. I was like, hello. I didn't know. What do you do? Talk to the hello. And I didn't hear anything. And I waited, and I didn't like, I was like, did I do it wrong? Fuck. And then after a while, I just started crying. I was like, I'm not good enough to be in the Akashic records. They don't love me. They think I'm stupid. And I was, snot. It was like, and I am telling you, the wave of love that hit my heart. And this was me in the beginning. I was still pretty dense then, and I'm talking energetically, and just like, it took a lot for me to feel. When people would talk about feeling energy, I'd be like, what are they talking about? And this was the first time I had actually felt the energy that I assumed other people, like you know what other people are talking about as soon as you feel it for yourself. And so I was still crying, and I could feel them, I don't know, like the energy. Akashic records, there's like levels of entities, beings, or whatever, that kind of manage the records. And the Akashic records keepers are kind of like the basic ones. You kind of just like, they're opening the door for you, and they have your Akashic records, and they can tell you all about yourself and all that stuff. And then there's like layers above that or whatever. So I could feel them, the energy beings, just like flooding me with so much love that I cried harder. But I wasn't sad because I thought I was stupid anymore. Well, I still felt like I was stupid, but like I didn't I could feel them trying to reassure me basically and just be like, you didn't do it. It's okay. Just, you're not used to this yet. It's fine. So I just closed the records at that point. And I was like, oh, and I went to bed and I just was like in another dark night of the soul. And I was like, I'm not good enough. So anyway, long story short, you kind of like, you keep practicing. And the more playful curiosity, trickster energy that you can get, where you just kind of, I'm just playing around. You know what? I'm going to fuck around in the Akashic. I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to see what happens. And so that's why I love all these systems, like the spiritual world, the energetic language, the astrology, human design. It's all just like, I don't know. It helps you learn about yourself so much that like it proves itself to you, basically, is what I'm saying. Like when you start to study astrology and you have the skepticism about it, because I certainly did. I was like, astrology's stupid. And, once I started studying it, and the human design as well, where you go into practice with it and you just see what works for you and what doesn't, and like what other people are saying. Like, how does it measure up when you experiment with it yourself? And if it proves itself to you enough, you can't deny that evidence because you're literally walking the path. So anyway, I learned how to do the Akashic Records, and I finally eventually learned that I am an Akashic Records keeper, or at least some sort of recorder for the Akashic Records. That's one of my soul aspects. And that ties in to the galactic pirate ship. I go back and forth, cosmic pirate ship. I think I called it the cosmic pirate ship because like I'd already said galactic in my little Twitch bio. I was like, we cannot be galactic citizens without being Earth citizens first. I was like, well, then I got to call the pirate ship a cosmic. But galactic is more so we're going to call it the galactic pirate ship and just kind of go with it. Both words work. But yeah, my higher self, like I have am I ready to get into that yet? No, we'll do that later. So anyway, Akashic Records Keeper is kind of where that is one of my roles. And I can feel myself being the observer, and all the stories that we're going to be talking about as I'm doing this thing of like the Orion Wars and all that stuff. I have been a record keeper many times. It's not been my only role because we all play all the roles, but that is the aspect of my soul that has incarnated a lot through at least this last age, 12,000, whatever, 13,000 years. So there's that aspect. What's the next thing that I can say about this? Okay, whatever. So we're going through this spiritual awakening. More and more I'm uncovering things that like dragons and stuff. And because the experience in the Akashic Records where I couldn't hear them, I couldn't feel it, whatever, I eventually started to trust what was showing up in my third eye. And that is the channel of imagination that connects you directly to source. And so when people are trying to tell you, oh, that's just in your imagination, that's just in your head. Yeah. That's how you fucking talk to God. Okay. So if you are asking, you don't have to ask the Akashic Record. They're all kind of the same, like general benefic beings are all kind of part of the same source consciousness, love, helping humanity in this shift of consciousness. So if you ask them a question, and you get like some image in your head, like for some reason you're like, why am I thinking about a purple fucking penguin? That's a message for you, and we are so used to just dismissing that. Like, oh, that's just, why am I thinking about that? And you just kind of throw it away. Just practice not throwing away those things. And the more you accept that your channel is open and that you're getting these messages when you're asking the questions, or like finding synchronicities or whatever, like that's your higher self. You are the one, the human avatar is a vessel. It's like a consciousness-based technology for the soul to inhabit, to have this earth experience. And we're in a school on Earth is a school. And so my school, the Midnight Diner, is a mystery school to remember. I don't know why I said that word so weird, but I think I was going to say something different, but remember who the fuck we are and why we're here, and what Earth is a living library. She has incredible information stored in all like rocks are record keepers. The water is God consciousness, like trees, every single thing here is just, It's really fucking cool is what I'm saying. And so we're having this earth experience, and we need to like, we were in an unconscious age, so we needed to forget that we were part of source. We needed to forget that we were all one collective human soul, that we're all part of God, and we're all like, divine sparks of consciousness experiencing itself in different perspectives. And we needed to forget that because it fucking gets boring when you're always with the same people. And you know what? It's like when you're with it, you're just like, you know what? I need to forget. I need to not be telepathic. I don't want to feel your thoughts. I just want to have my own experience. And so what that oversoul does, the humanity oversoul, and I'm just talking about this in general, it's the humanity oversoul breaks off into different shards of consciousness in these individual bodies, which is why as we move back towards unity consciousness, because we've had our separation and now it's the cycle ending, we're not doing that anymore. We're going back into one. Woo, that's going to be a fun one. But I forget what I was fucking saying. God damn it. Girl, I'm going to have so much fun editing this, aren't I? Okay, anyway, we're finishing the separation. We're moving back into unity consciousness. And on Earth right now, she is also full of these ascension codes. And she volunteered to host the fall of human consciousness, as in falling away from source, basically, and moving into this Maya of illusion of separation. We all fear death, all those things. She volunteered to host this for knowledge, basically, like what happens when this type of fall happens. Because when you're an eternal soul, what else are you gonna do but fuck around and play different games? And like, suffering is a game. Like if you download Call of Duty or fucking Animal Crossing, like you just play different things. And so we were in a very painful experience this last chapter, and that is now at an end. And so in human design terms, what's going to happen is in 2020, we've been in a chunk of time called the cross of planning, and then we're moving into this is hundreds of years, and we're moving into a new chapter called the cross of the sleeping phoenix, and it's incredibly different energy, and we're moving into that energy in 2027. And this 2-year period, 2025 2026, is sort of like the energy's already been kind of flowing in, but like it's ramping up right now. And for these next 2 years, it's going to really give us a big taste test of what we can expect to be like hardcore in 2027. And really all that means is that the cross of planning and the sleeping phoenix, like those eras are just kind of like background frequency for our experience. And so the cross of planning was like, it's like conditioning you, basically. So the cross of planning was very like transaction oriented, exchange money for this, and this is the worth of this thing, and the worst fear is the fear of failure, and all that kind of stuff. We're moving into an energy, the sleeping phoenix energy, which is more like the worst fear in that one is fear of the unknown. So it's like the lessons we're getting now with the nodal axis, I'll get into astrology later, but just to the nodal axis right now, Pisces and Virgo, that is a taste test of the energy we're getting in 2027. And so it's very much like Virgo likes to plan things and know what the fuck is going on. This is Virgo taking notes and shit, having an outline. But Pisces is like, we're going with the flow, man. You don't know, the universe is going to take care of you. Like, so I got fired. I'm sure the universe is going to take care. And you just trust that the universe is going to take care of you. And any plans you made that got blown out of the window, it's going to be fine because the universe has your back. And so that's what we're moving into. And it's less of a transactional energy and more like, what do you like, as in money, that, whatever. It's more like, what do you have that I need? What do I have that you need? And it feels like an equal energy exchange, even though there's not money changing hands. And that's not to say money is going away. It's just we're just doing we're on a whole different operating system starting in February, I think, of 2027. And so it's just the background frequency that's like conditioning and programming the human collective. And so the conditioning from the cross of planning that we're in now, that we have been in for hundreds of years, that's been conditioning everyone to expect money and this and the failure and the blah, whatever. And I'm not trying to say that cross of planning is all bad. Those were the shadow sides of that. Homogenized systems were a big thing of cross of planning. We're finding out that those homogenized systems don't fucking work for everybody because we're all individuals. So that's going to go away. The homogenization of this system stuff, we're going to be breaking it apart into things that actually work for the individual person. Think about when you fucking go to the doctor. They don't even know anything. I'm just saying, we're going to have a lot of advancements, and we don't even know what it's going to look like because we've never done this before. And yes, it's going to come back to like, we like to, in the spiritual world, we kind of say new earth or whatever. A lot of people say new earth, coming on like 5D earth and blah, whatever. But my friends and I, like Shay in the chat, we think of it as old new earth, like the ancient wisdom of all the ages before us, of all the star family that have helped kind of populate Earth and like help her with her evolution. That's the kind of thing the knowledge that we're bringing, indigenous wisdom for how to treat the land and grow crops properly and take care of national forests. Like all of that is going to be coming. So it's new Earth, but it's old new Earth. So I kind of I went full into the thing, and I haven't even, so basically this awakening has gotten me to start the mystery school to help everybody remember who they are and what the fuck is going on. Because we don't think about what the news you grew up watching. Are they talking about this shit? No. So first of all, don't trust the media is what I'm saying, and don't trust the government. But we all just need to play a different game and stop giving energy to that system. And then the other. So there's those of us who are here to build out the new thing so that when the other people who are not aware of this thing yet, this change into like, none of this is real. Like we were in an experience in like an experiment. And so we're moving into a different one, and we don't need to like have people tell us what to do anymore. It was very much outer authority based. Like, oh, the government needs to tell me what to do. My mom needs to tell me what to do. And I guess parents should always, it's not, I don't know why I use parents as an example, because yes, they should be parenting. But like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to think this way. You got to do this thing. Like, this will be safe for you to do to make money and blah. It's here. And that's how I ended up here, is listening to my fucking intuition, which I have never done in my life. And it has gotten me into some crazy places, including this, which is like a fucking dream. I get to teach my way on my own schedule, and like I call in the people who are only for me. It's not to say that I don't think riffraff should show up, but there's a point when like, you got to get the misbehaving students out of the fucking classroom and just have the ones who are here to actually remember and participate and like know that they are here to fulfill their purpose to help humanity with this consciousness shift. Really all this is like remembering what your note in the song of the universal song is. Like, we all have a thing, and that's why it's hard, because I've had a big thing with like compare and despair and like looking at people and their accomplishments, and this spiritual person is like, oh my god, they're doing readings or this and that. I'm not doing. You have your own thing. And coming from someone who has done a lot of comparing and despairing and thinking that like, oh my god, I have what is my worth? What is my value? I don't know anything. And it's like, you just get quiet. You listen to what your body's telling you to do. And your higher self is just like, you're gonna move back to your hometown, to your family's house, a farmhouse that has been abandoned for like 20 years. You're gonna live there because you have no money, because I had like left my hometown to like escape, because you want to escape small town Indiana, and like lived everywhere but Indiana for a million years. And then one of my sources of income dried up that was helping me pay rent, and I was like, fuck, what do I do? And I only had the option of moving back to this little farmhouse. And so there was nothing. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything. And in that quiet, and I'd already had a few years of like listening to my higher self and all that stuff. But like in that quiet, even as miserable as I was, I would get these downloads, like visuals of like me as this community leader, and a teacher, and I have a coffee shop attached to my school called the Crow's Nest, and like all these specific things that are coming in, and I'm like, well, how do I get there? I don't understand. And what's this mystery school called? And anyway, so I just had to trust what the fuck was going on, and not the one line, my human design profile, that the number one in my profile line is very concerned with safety and security and not having money and having a lot of debt, was like stressing me the fuck out so much. So if you're in this situation where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, none of this makes logical sense. But I still feel, because every time I would ask my body, I'm like, are we supposed to find a fucking job? Like, what do we do and every time my body was like, no, you have to sit here and rest. And it was so jarring, the dissonance between my mind screaming at me that it was like, that is not safe to do. And my body being like, we're not going to do anything else. Good luck trying to get us to go. It just wouldn't happen. So the ascension, the awakening, all of the stuff that's moving forward right now, none of it can be explained by logic and reason. There's not a place for logic and reason, but like right now, that was what cross of planning was all about. The one we're moving out of, it was very mental based. It was very like logic, reason, scientific materialism, like all that. That's going out the window, because it should be, in this phase, what it should be is that your mind is the co-pilot to the heart that's driving the galactic pirate ship. And so, yeah, a lot of these things that you're going to be doing don't make a whole lot of sense. And it's a little stressful sometimes, but it gets easier. It gets easier to move through the panic or whatever you're going through. You're just kind of like, it proves itself. If you follow your intuition and you know that that's what's happening, and it's not, mind loops or that kind of, if you follow your intuition, it will always lead you to where you need to be. Now, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be comfortable. I have spent a lot of time fucking throwing tantrums and really screaming and depressed as fuck, just so much of that. But also, there has been the most amazing peace and contentment and just like joy. And I haven't felt that love. I have not felt those things ever. Okay, that's not really true, because when I listen to music, and if it's the right piece of music, I'm like, oh. And to me, everything is music, because everything is a frequency. So that's why I talk about music a lot. And like, yeah, so it's just very anyway, I'm going to take a drink of water because I need to gather my thoughts. I forget where I was again. So I don't think it's going to be all that scary for a lot of people, and it's not going to take that long to get people on board to do these things, because the stuff that has been taking forever in the cross of planning energy, like the awakenings, the spiritual gifts, the getting aligned with your highest timeline, like those took a very long time. And so that's for my mentors, like those people going through it and coming before me. And then my wave of people came online and we did things a little faster. It still took a while, but I think the next wave of people coming on, it'll take even less time. So I have a lot of hope for all this stuff, and it's going to be fine. But there are ups and downs, and the more that you learn about the more you get to give yourself permission to be yourself and find what's actually right for you and your highest path. Basically, to find your highest path, you follow your joy, and that's what you're supposed to do. And so getting to know yourself and what you really want, what are your values, who you are, like, what are you, who are you, without the conditioning of your upbringing. And it is very different. I am finding, in the unmasking, I am just like, what? And it's not that the core of me has changed. I am the same person, but it's deeper. And I've accessed more of the inside. I feel like I was operating very like shallowly, which is, again, that was the point of that game. We weren't supposed to go deep. We were just supposed to be like in victim consciousness and like it's someone else's fault that this is happening to me, or like whatever. But now it's like we're owning the responsibility for all of, like, we create our own reality. And so What are your belief systems that create that reality? And there's a lot of limiting beliefs. I mean, I've been clearing out so much shit. And a lot of the astrology right now is asking us to dig really, really deep and find those childhood wounds that made the patterns that we keep doing. And the eclipse that we just had in Aries, what was that, the 29th of March? That was a closing of a cycle that started in March of 2023. And also the nodal axis of Aries and Libra. I will go into all this more, but I'm just, the major point of that though is to that transit, which really hit with a bang with this Aries eclipse that just happened a couple days ago. It was no more people pleasing. Any pattern you needed to break to, cut out the people that, it was cutting out people who no longer align with you, but it was also morphing how you show up in relationships. Like, it's not like we all cut out everybody, but like the people who do remain in your life, how do you want to show up in relationship? What patterns of yours do you see that are toxic, that are kind of hard to look at? I had to look at some I thought I was like, I've done enough shadow work. And there is a point, like, don't go digging for trauma or whatever, but like, also the shadow work finds you. And so I was like, I'll be fine, this will be good, like, it was brutal as fuck. I was looking at myself like, shit, I do that? God. And the eclipse before that, the one in Virgo, it was the start of having us all look at how we get in our own way. What is our fault about what is happening? And you're like, damn it, why do I do that? And why do you do you want to change? And for those of us who are supposed to start building out this new stuff, there is no not changing. Like, my body will not operate in the old way. I cannot speak the same way. I cannot hang out with the same people. I don't know. It's just really, really different. So yeah. Again, I lost my train of fucking thought. There's so many thoughts that want to come out. So that's why I'm just like, questions are always good. Otherwise I'll just, ADD all over the place. But yeah. So the Midnight Diner, I'm just gonna who cares? I think I'll tell the story of like living in the pirate ship and doing all the things, like, it's later. But basically, there's a lot more to this fun story. So keep in the alerts for Twitch, because I'll be coming back online. But basically, we're gonna round out this like thing with talking about the Midnight Diner and what it is, and the galactic pirate ship and all this stuff. So the galactic pirate ship is me. It is the aspect of me that is playing this game, and it's massive. And it is sort of like a space station, which is why, Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek. And no fucking wonder, because like I am a space station. And it's still kind of coming in for me. Like, I don't have all the details yet. Like, that's part of the fun of this game, is following your higher self. Like, we forgot who we are. We forgot what we were doing here. We forgot all these things because that was part of the parameters of the game. And now we're like able to get in touch with ourselves. And so that pirate ship is the place I go to. It's like outside of time and space. It's just like there. And I can go there, in dream space and in meditation and in moments where I'm feeling like that pure love. And I just need to take a break from the heaviness of Earth. And I just need to sit. So it's a really, that's kind of my nebulous sort of answer to like the broader question of like, what is this pirate ship? And when I moved back to my hometown that first year, I got this down, like I kept seeing this like pirate queen woman, and I realized she was me finally. I was like, oh, that's me trying to tell me, like, here you are. It's like a ship that's coded to me. It's like a consciousness-based vehicle, just like our human bodies, but it's a spaceship. So anyway, that's the pirate ship. And in that pirate ship, bringing the codes down to Earth, is the Midnight Diner. And we're a real gas station, convenience store vibe over here. The neon is my friend. So we're here to remember who we are. And we are here to, kind of figure out as things happen in the world, we'll come back here and kind of like talk about it and figure out what's happening, do all the codes, talk all the things, discuss all the stuff that's happening, because it's gonna get fucking weird. It's already weird, and it's gonna be even weirder, and it's gonna be fun. But that's why the trickster energy is here right now, because it's trying to get you to take things less seriously, because some of the stuff that we're gonna eventually consider fun might not necessarily feel fun at first. So the more you can bring that playful curiosity and just be like, let's see where this goes. You're writing your own story. You're living your own myth. You are like broadening your worldview and your cosmology, and that's all happening right here, because I have fun with this shit. I could talk all fucking day. People ask me a question, I'll be like, listen, let me go there and there and there. So I will have plenty of things that we're kind of going over, and like, I don't know, questions you have. I'm going to be talking a lot about astrology and human design and all things esoteric, and yes, aliens, because we are also aliens to the other. It's just so crazy that we think that we're alone out there. And I know I used to think that too. It's like we're conditioned by the old programming. And when I realized that that was incorrect, and we have lots and lots of star family, and Earth history as we know it is not correct, okay? Like, we're going to be disclosure is not just aliens, it is what really has been happening on Earth. And it's gonna surprise a lot of people. And so that's why it has to be disclosure has to be sort of dripped out a little bit, because if you get too much of a shock to your system, you can overload. And I'm not saying like people will die or whatever, but like you just check out. That's like psychosis energy. When something changes that strongly, you're just like, I can't accept it, and so I go insane or whatever. Like we gotta do it slowly, but ooh boy, the pace has been a little slow for me, but also it's been really fucking fast, and I have to remember that. Like, when I look back at myself and the diary entries and like all the things that I was doing even 6 months ago, I'm like, how have I done all this stuff? Which is why we're gonna celebrate some fucking wins. And I have a piece of cake. Where the fuck did I put my cake? Here's my cake. My housemate Dorothy made this cake, and I am gonna have a piece right now, because we're celebrating our wins. It has been so fucking heavy for so long. There's so much grief to process, and we do need to honor that. I've been crying a lot. So much. But it kind of feels good at this point. It feels like that flush of the old, dense energies of the grief, and the old chapter. The old chapter was so based in suffering, so based in separation and the fear of death. And when you lose a physical person in your life, and we think that we've been lied to about what a soul is, and that we don't have, there's just so much stuff going on there that made us really feel a lot of pain in that old chapter. And to be fair, that's like, I don't know. I obviously don't love everything about it, but the stories we have from that, like when I think about my favorite music or my favorite poetry or my favorite stories or any of that stuff, I'm like, those were created in the cross of planning, in this energy that we're leaving behind. It's kind of like our last round of hero's journey stories, and we're moving into something totally different because it's not tied to any of our karma. Karma, by the way, is not what we've been taught it is by the church. It is not a punishment. It is just a consequence. And a consequence, I mean, all these things have emotional baggage, but like if you do one thing, it has an effect. And so you get to do the thing, but then you also get to feel the effect of that. And so it's just data points. It's just stories to tell. It's just experiences to have. And that's why there's so much nuance to what is bad and good. Another thing about the cross of planning, very binary, very like black and white. We're moving into so much gray. Just get comfortable with gray, because that's what we're going to have for a while. And we're moving through this to, it's a really cool future that we have coming on. It's very much a Star Trek future. Star Trek is a channeled show. Gene Roddenberry was definitely a time traveler and like had access. I think he even hung out with I forget the name of the woman, but he did have a a friend or some sort of acquaintance who did channel this consciousness, and he told those stories. Well, I don't know if he didn't channel them from her, but the idea of what those futures looked like, those future timelines and all the things that were happening, that's Star Trek. Star Wars is the Orion Wars. It's very much our past. So we're moving to the Star Trek future. But again, if you know Star Trek lore, it was Mad Maxy before we got to Star Trek. So we're in the Mad Max part of this journey to a higher level of consciousness, this evolution of humanity. So there's aliens involved, and they're our star family, and humanity is actually, this is not our first go round with our star family. They have been here before. They've helped Earth before. They've helped humanity. Like all of the things, I'm just saying, all this disclosure is going to be coming out. Archaeology is going to have some interesting finds. They already have the stuff underneath the pyramids. Again, take everything, just know that, like, when you hear something in the news, it's either not the whole story or it's not the right story. So just the amount of times I have been like, oh, yikes, I agree with this person who before I would have labeled a crazy conspiracy theorist. I'm like, well, okay, so am I. I don't believe in all of them. Only the ones that feel true to me from my own meditations, my own, whatevers. But we're finding shit out that is going to reveal a lot about the history that we just have never heard about before. And it's going to be completely worldview changing. It's going to be paradigm shifting. And the beings that that ran this world underneath those old energies, they don't want to lose that power. They don't want us to learn the truth. And so they're trying very hard to keep things covered up, but it's too late. They've already lost. They're just kind of smearing shit on the walls as they leave the house. So don't worry. That's easier said than done. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but we are going to be okay. We already are okay, but we're going to remain okay. It's a very bumpy bus ride, but it's fine. And everything is happening exactly as it should for the highest timeline. And there's a whole lot of mess for us to clean up before we can move back into unity consciousness. People don't even fucking take their shopping carts back to the, like they leave them in the, if you can't, like, what the fuck are we doing? So we need to what's happening now is we're kind of being sealed in together, so to speak, so that we learn to live together or else. And so the people you don't like very much, they are also part of the human collective. And you don't have to be best friends with them, but we have to all learn together to live together, because we have no choice. The soul, the oversoul of humanity and Earth, it's really Earth's decision because she is hosting us, but humanity's oversoul is also ready for a shift in consciousness. But we need to do that because Earth herself has chosen this is the end of the game. She's moving up into a different dimension, different level of consciousness. There's a whole lot of astrology that can explain this. There's a whole lot of it's phases, it's cycles. It's like, it's just data points that you can study. And the thing is, though, we are moving into something we just have not seen before. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about all that stuff and more at the Midnight Diner. I'm thinking of doing streaming on Sundays because, I don't know. I feel like I'm supposed to be one of those people that reclaims and alchemizes the weird religious energy around Sundays. Throat chakra, apparently that's probably what I'm supposed to do. Oh my God. So anyway, take a break and celebrate your wins, because I'm getting out my final prop. I've been getting a message over and over and over about how we are all Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The monsters, which are our worst fears, are not stronger than us. Hell is just a place, the room with your worst fear in it, and the door is unlocked. It's also fucking wide open. You just got to go through the monster thing, which is your worst fear, and you have guaranteed success on the other side of it. You are going to be out of hell. Just like the amount of shit that we have been faced with right now about ourselves, especially in this very gnarly eclipse season, was breaking all those patterns. I could feel my fear circuitry and like anxiety circuitry just like burning out. That's another thing I visual, like music and frequencies, but I also see a lot of circuitry energetically. It's very, I don't know. But so if you hear me talk about that, it's just like circuits, and I can see the circuits. And I went to a place during this eclipse season. I went to a place, I was so stressed. I was no longer stressed. I went through the wormhole. I don't know how that happens. It's like when you're so hungry, you're not hungry anymore. It's just, I've never been to that place before. And I could feel the anxiety and the fear just kind of like out there, whatever that means, just like away from the center of me that was very calm. And I was there, and I was still kind of just like shell shocked. Like, I don't really know what's happening right now, but I am in a interesting energy. And I could feel the fear just kind of like, and I just allowed myself to stay in my body and breathe and be present. And I took myself to bed, and I was like, just get some sleep, whatever. And I could feel myself, like the third eye thing, the weird images that I'm talking about. I could feel what the imagery was like. My team, my guide team, my higher self, they were working on my circuitry to burn it out and disconnect it so that I don't need to feel the fear in the same way. It's not that fear is going to go away necessarily. It's just like we've alchemized a lot of this stuff. And so after that whole not fear beyond fear phase that I was in, where I was being dismantled of all this stuff, there was just a big black pile of old circuitry just chilling in the third eye vision. I was like, okay, I went through that portal. Okay, cool. And I knew, well, I hadn't graduated yet. I'm getting messages about Buffy, but I'm like, I could feel there's still stuff there. And so when I passed through the fear portal during the eclipse and broke a toxic pattern of mine that I didn't even realize I was doing, and if anybody needs to know what that is, as a Pisces rising with Jupiter in the 7th house, my chart rulers in the 7th of other people, like humans, oh my God, relationships, friends, I overgive. Jupiter loves to give. They're like, yeah, man. I kind of talked about this in the beginning, which is like, I want you to have more than enough of everything you need and then some. And then I get my own feelings hurt when people don't do the same thing for me or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You don't have boundaries. Pisces risings have a little trouble with boundaries sometimes. And so I was really seeing how I was getting in my own way and how I needed to fix a situation, not fix, but like reopen a situation to discuss some of the details about things. And it felt really awkward and scary and conflict ridden, and I wanted to shut down and not actually do the conflict, even though it's not a conflict. It's just like owning my own worth. I was finally seeing that because Neptune finally fucking moved out of my first house, and I had clarity. I was like, oh, I am worth so much more than I've ever given myself credit for. So it was really nice to see that. But then I was like, oh shit, I gotta renegotiate this energy exchange with multiple people. Like, it was not just one person. And so once I did the thing I was scared of, I earned Mr. Pointy. Dirty jokes aside, which I know there are plenty we can make right here, this is fucking Mr. Pointy from Buffy. Guess where I got it? The man who is helping me do my garden, my neighbor in town, his name is Lee, lovely man, knows a lot about soil health, and we're going to get him on at some point. Somehow we're going to be he's got so much knowledge, lots of nature. Anyway, he's helping me with my garden, and he hands me this the other day. We were doing errands together. He's like, you put it, basically it's for seeds. Like you did push the hole in and put the seed and whatever. And he had hand carved this shit, just like, no big deal. I was like, I tried to tell him, I was like, oh my God, it's a Buffy steak. And he was like, what the fuck? But he had no idea how much this would mean to me. And that's what I'm talking about with the magic and like living your own myth and not dismissing the signs from the universe. Cause like, To some people, this could just be a garden thing, and it is, but it's also so much more because it has confirmed all of my downloads about how we're done with this old chapter. We are stronger than the monsters. We killed the monsters. And honestly, most of the monsters are just parts of ourselves that are lost and really want to come home, and they don't know how, and they feel rejected, or they feel that we're ashamed of them, or whatever. So parts work is the most important thing you can possibly do. We call it shadow work as well, but like parts work feels pretty good too. I feel like that's even better than shadow work, but they both work. And there's a book called No Bad Parts that my friend Allie read and recommended. We started talking about this stuff, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I've been working on, but like from a whole spiritual side. Like I didn't get it from, I was just like, my higher self was like, listen to your parts. And I'm like, what the fuck are parts? And I just kept finding all these pieces of me that I had rejected. And, anyway, so No Bad Parts. I don't know the author, but it's called No Bad Parts. And I feel like everybody should read that. But do your own... Don't use your own body's wisdom. If that is not for you, then don't. So the things I'm saying are just like, it works for me, but everyone do their own thing. But parts work, very fucking important. So that's, I think I was in the middle of a story, but we're going to move on to something because I am probably going to, 2 hours feels like maybe even a little much for me. So I know it's only 8:40, but we're going to just hopefully tie up a little bit of loose ends and have another bite of cake. We have we have a spam message in the chat. All right, whatever. Best viewers. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I don't know how to fucking delete that or like whatever. If anybody knows how to work Twitch and wants to help me. You are also witnessing the building of the ship as I'm flying it. So, it's fun. This is how I move through life. I'm a little bit of a fucking dumpster fire and I love it. And that's just, I'm embracing it finally. I'm not trying to be some perfect thing, which I've always been trying to do to myself. I'm like, why are you not better? Why are you not this? I am what I am. And I'm in a studio, again, because I followed my intuition. So first of all, we have a bite, because I'm going to celebrate my wins on following my intuition. Okay? And then I'm going to tell you a story of how I got this fucking studio. Because, okay. Also, yeah, if anybody knows how to work Twitch, that would be great. So my first message that I was going to be doing a Twitch channel, my friend Serafina was like, what about Twitch? And I was like, what the fuck? Why would I do that? I don't know anything about it. I didn't say that to her. But in my head, I was like, I don't know anything about Twitch. Why would I do that? I already do podcasts. Like, what? And then I was like, okay, I'll stay open to it, obviously. Because at this point, I know better than to, dismiss anything out of hand. Because, you never know where the signs are. So kind of follow your nose on that. I was like, okay, I'll stay open to it. And then a couple months later, I was talking to another, and I was like, are we supposed to start a Twitch? Like, what are we supposed to, just Twitch kept coming back to my awareness. And so it's again, my higher self just being like, yep, that's how you start your mystery school. But I didn't know that at the time. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do Twitch, but I didn't know what I was going to say or what the channel was going to be about or any of this stuff. And so I have is it weird to say childhood friend? I met this person when I was in 8th grade. Her name was Amy. She's amazing. She was my French tutor, and I've known her ever since. And we've got a history because I'm obviously no longer in 8th grade. And she has this building downtown for her own business, and her husband Andy and I have become friends too. And so I knew that I was supposed to connect with them. I could feel it in my bones. I was like, there's no way. I could feel it. I was gonna, let me finish the fucking thought. There's no way I moved back here to this area and am not gonna be doing work on community stuff with these people, because that's what they have been about for their whole friggin' lives at this point, and they've been trying so hard to get all these things started, and the world was just not ready. That's the other thing about this. If you've been trying to push your dreams through and things aren't working out, or it's I tried that before, it didn't work. Why am I don't want to try it again. Stuff was not necessarily aligned energetically for that to work out, out, but you still needed to try it. And you still needed to get the feel of what it was so that nothing is wasted. All the stuff that you tried to do and even failed at or whatever, it's all going to serve you in this next chapter. And that's the other thing about failure is it's not what we think it is. I mean, we've been taught, again, across the planing, it's like failure is like the worst thing and you got to fit in or you're going to be rejected and whatever. But failure is just data points. And anyone with a third line in human design knows that. Even if they don't really... Third line in human design is the fuck around, find out line. And it's like, we're going to try all these things. And most of the time, the point is to fail. So you can see what doesn't work. And then you can get to tell people when they're doing their thing. It's like, okay, I tried that. You don't need to do... Like, it's called the martyr, which is... one of those. Human design sometimes has terms that I'm just like, okay, we need to, and I'm not the only one who feels that way, but it does work, to a certain degree. It's like they try the shit so we don't have to, and they have a lot of resilience built into them so that they don't, like, they keep trying. It's like they have a resilience to them that the rest of us without a third line don't really understand, because we're like, we see them do all these things and we're like, why would you do all that? Like, I would have given up so far. That's not part of their energy. That's what they're supposed to be doing. And so they just keep doing it. And it's not that they never have success. It's just like, it's almost that like the third line goes through these experiments, and trying things is the point. It's like the outcome doesn't necessarily even matter. So anyway, failure is not failure in the way that we think of it. It's just like more data points about shaping our idea of what will work. And so we can move towards that. So yeah, failure. Oh yeah. The thing, I was like, where the fuck was I? Okay. So in the whole talking about the studio thing, I'm friends with Amy and Andy, and I was getting a tour of their building because it's a very cool historic building downtown and they're not using this third floor. And I saw this little room with what looked like a recording studio. It has like foam on the, like egg crate foam or whatever the fuck on the walls. And I was like, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, oh, cool. It's like full of storage and stuff. It's, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, cool building. Let's blah. And then when I got this download about doing this Twitch thing, and I need an internet connection that is better than what I fucking have at home, because I tried calling the internet company and they were like, you have the highest plan. And I was like, well, it doesn't work. And so I was throwing this fit like, well, if I'm supposed to be doing something that requires internet, why the fuck don't I have internet? And then my higher self reminded me of the studio that I saw here. And I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to do this job from home. I am supposed to leave my house and go out into the community, go to work, have a space, just be out in the world. And I'm supposed to ask my friends, Andy and Amy, if they would be willing to let me use this place, even though I have no money. That's the other thing about this whole chapter of mine. I got fired from my job. I was working at the library. I didn't even make it a year. Oh my God. And I got fired on New Year's Eve. And we'll go into that story later. It doesn't really matter, but... And so I had no job and no money. And I'm just trusting that the universe is going to take care of me. I'm like, I've had weirder things happen. I've had miracles happen. Like, I understand this, but it's kind of hard to stay calm. So when I got this image of the studio, I was like, oh shit, I am supposed. So I just was like, you know what? I'm building a garden this year. Can I exchange vegetables for use of this thing? And then obviously pay money, like or if that works out, or if that's even necessary, whatever it is, like, it's open for discussion. I'm like happy to pay, but also it's this sleeping phoenix stuff of like, I have vegetables, you have a studio, that might not be, you always have to just determine for yourself if that feels like an equal energy exchange, which to me, I'm like having imposter syndrome and being like, that's not enough. But also it's going to work out. I'm going to be able to give them other stuff, but that's not even the point, because you're worth the free things that you get. You're worth the gifts that you get. You don't have to explain yourself or feel guilty. Just take all the good things the universe wants to give you, because if you reject the things that are going to bring you joy, you're just going to sit here. And I was so fucking nervous. I was like, so I have a business proposal. don't really know. I'm just getting this intuitive hit that I'm supposed to kind of. And then I also asked Andy if I got this intuitive hit to ask Andy if he could help me with this Twitch thing. So I did, and I told him, I was like, I'm working on following my intuition, even though it doesn't make logical sense sometimes. And I'm supposed to ask you if you can help me with this Twitch thing. And he was like, no, but I can help you with video editing. And I was like, what? Why is he offering that? It was a message from my higher self to be like, you're going to be video editing. Here's your guide. And I was like, oh my God. The pieces fall into place when you allow it to fall into place and you allow yourself to accept the things that are coming into you. Your dream life is coming into you. It's not going to show up the way you think. You're going to lose shit like jobs or relationships. Like you're going to lose a lot of stuff so the new stuff can come in. And so I get to use their studio. And this place, so I'm not actually in the studio. I'm in the room that's attached to the studio, or that the studio is in, because there's no like outlet plug yet. I'm basically in a pirate ship situation, which is amazing. It's just like this place has been used for storage. It's totally like the house I moved into, the farmhouse that I moved into when I moved back here. It's that kind of state where there's just like, it's just been empty for a while and you just use it as storage. It is perfect for me. Literally perfect. This is my trash goddess self being like, I am home. So we'll talk about trash goddess and stuff later. I've had so many things to say. I am definitely wrapping it up. But yes, I'm in my studio, Sleeping Phoenix style. I got my DS9, my Alexandria 2.0 school started, and we're going to do the thing. We're going to remember who we are and have some fun along the way, because joy is going to lead us into this next, it's going to lead the revolution. It's going to lead all this new chapter that we're bringing in. And that's not to say that things don't need to burn down first. The old has to die before the new can be born. But the more you can allow yourself to feel joy, the easier and quicker we're on that timeline. Where, I mean, we're already on that timeline, but it's just like it closes out different densities we don't need. Just follow your joy, basically. That'll be the easiest path. And the more people who do it, the more we move into it. And it's not to say you don't have to keep tabs on like the stuff that's happening, but your body will tell you what you are supposed to take action on. And if you're supposed to take action on burning things to the ground or reporting on stuff or this and that, whatever, that's what you need to be doing. But for me, I'm supposed to be doing this. And it's not that I don't care about other stuff going on in the world. It's just that I am meant to be doing this, and I will assist in the ways that I can, but I need to build out the new stuff and stop paying attention to the things that aren't for me. And that's it. So if you don't have that arsenal energy where you're burning things down, don't feel bad. That's not a thing that everybody has to do. So don't let anyone tell you who the fuck you are. That's another thing from this eclipse. Ain't nobody gonna tell me other than me. So I think I said everything I wanted to say. I feel like there was another thing, but if I can't remember it, then it's just going to wait till next time. But anyway, I mentioned one podcast, which is Space Cats Happy Hour. Wait, it's on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, fuck it, wherever you listen to podcasts. Space Cats Happy Hour with my friend Zaddy Cat. We haven't recorded in a while, but we do have an episode. All of our episodes are fucking awesome. So like backlogs, I would suggest it, because the messages in there are kind of timeless. Even though we're talking about current energies, you're still going to hear it exactly when you need to hear it. And it's got codes and information that will help you unlock your own wisdom. Just if a title or a description sounds good to you, fucking click on it and listen to our awesome, wise, hilarious discussions. But just know that we haven't recorded in a while. We are going to be, we've all been in a really intense, this has been very intense. So we do things when the energy feels right. And so we don't always record. We don't record on a regular schedule or like a set schedule. And my second podcast is Sultry Circus with Shay. She was in the Queen Faye Shay on Twitch, if you want to follow her. And we've already done a couple episodes streaming on Twitch. There was a couple people showed up, but mostly we were just doing like a soft launch so we could figure out how the fuck Twitch worked and all that stuff. So we're going to continue to record podcasts on Twitch, either on my channel or her channel. So that's why in my recommended follows, I have her listed so you can click on her name. You don't even have to search for it. But that's the plan. I will hopefully, again, I don't do set schedules really, but like it feels like Sundays are eventually going to maybe probably be the day that I do a lot of this stuff, but kind of whenever the energy works. And so you can follow me. I'm on Twitter. I'm sort of on Instagram. I mean, I do post the things. I don't know. And TikTok. So if you want to follow me there, just Dread Pirate KK, all the places. So same fucking username. And I hope you show up more because this is really fun. And I hope that it resonates. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You come and go as you please. Nobody's, we all got to follow our own wisdom. So I'm happy to have you here for as long as it resonates with you. And then happy journey if you leave, whatever. So if you have questions, please bring them the next time or send them to me on, I don't really check my DMs. So maybe I shouldn't say that. We'll figure it out. Just show up on Sundays. I will do an announcement when I do my next thing. But I think the next thing that we're going to be doing is Shay and I are going to do a little Sultry Circus episode at some point. Because we got a lot to talk about. We have a 4-part Mars retrograde story. It's all in our little feed. But that Mars retrograde that we just went through, we recorded 4 episodes. Oh, there was so much to discuss. And then we need to, there's been a lot since then. So it's very exciting. Shay's still here. Yeah. Thank you. My sister. It was really nice to be with you guys today. I turned off all my viewer counts and follow, I don't know who's here. If anyone is still here, I was like, maybe everybody left, which is fine. I don't mind talking to myself because I do that anyway. So might as well put myself on camera. But I'm happy you showed up. It was awesome to have your energy in here. I hope that something made sense or resonated. No, it's 1444. When did you see? Oh, on time. Oh, no way. Shay is great with these fucking numbers. She catches them all. It's the best. So anyway, that's pretty good. I think 1 hour and 44 minutes. That's those 1s and 4s following me again. I think it's a sign to shut the fuck up. So anyway, I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you show up again. There's going to be just more fun shit to talk about. And so I will see you when I see you. And yeah, lots of love and hugs, bitches. We made it through eclipse season. You are Buffy!